We still don't know the cause of Prince's death, but we do know he leaves behind a huge void. His influence as a performer and fierce advocate for musical ownership reaches far and wide in the music industry and beyond. Let's talk it over with music industry executive Shanti. She was senior vice president at Columbia Records when she worked with Prince's team, and W. Kamau Bell, a comedian and host of CNN's United Shades of America, premiering tomorrow night at 10 p.m. Eastern. Thank you both for coming on. Shanti, I want to start with you because you work closely with Prince and even attended his final concert in Atlanta. Tweeting these words, let's take a look here. You say, Prince was euphoric, sexy, amazing, and the sound was magical. Prince is the most special artist I've witnessed. Prince even retweeted you. You were already a longtime fan when you began working with him on Musicology, but what was it like working with him? And, by the way, getting a retweet.
I know. So first of all, let's start with the concert. It was probably one of the best concerts I've seen that he's ever done.
Why?
And I couldn't even tell that he had been sick. You know, we'd heard rumors about him having the flu. He was not nasally. I mean, his voice was pristine, and it was just him and a microphone. I mean, think about how many artists can really do that. So it was quite spectacular. And he did a lot of the classic Prince material, which we all really loved. But my experience working for him at Columbia Records was by far probably the highlight of my career. I remember when I first met him, I literally froze in my tracks. And the one thing about him, he's super professional, so I had to remember to like come out of fan mode and snap back on the senior vice president hat. And he immediately welcomed me in and broke the ice and wanted to know what I thought about his Musicology video. It was just really special.
Wow, and I'm sure you meet a lot of famous artists, but it seems like he really struck a chord with you.
He did, and the one thing I think that was truly special about Prince was he was a genius. And he was a real stickler for professionalism, and he knew exactly what he wanted. I recall being on tour in 2004, and we needed to get some additional photos to use for publicity for international. And it was 2 in the morning. Most artists don't even want to do an interview after a concert, but he did a complete photo shoot at 2 o'clock in the morning, and it was pretty spectacular.
Wow. And you know, we're learning so much about Prince in the wake of his death, and his focus on issues that were near and dear to his heart. Kamau, your new CNN show focuses on tackling the cultural divide. How effective was Prince at breaking down these racial and gender barriers in America?
I mean, I think as Prince was a black man and certainly defined himself as such, but he also knew that he was allowed to live his blackness and his maleness however he wanted to live it. And that's a great example to everybody, but specifically to black people. A lot of times we feel like we have to belong in a box of a certain kind, but Prince was saying, hey, just like in Controversy, first line, am I black or white? Am I straight or gay? You know, he's saying, I can define myself by who I want to be, even while I am certainly a black man.
And on that note, even with gender, he wore these gender-bending dresses. People may wonder, was this a deliberate act by Prince to make this point, or is this just who he was, Shanti?
I think that was who he was. I jokingly tell people he wore the best lace shirts better than any of my girlfriends. He was just carefree, and I don't think he wanted to be defined by anything.
He also wore those heels that I think a lot of women couldn't even wear. Kamau, to you, because we played some clips earlier of songs that Prince either influenced or wrote. I personally was surprised that some of these songs he wrote under pseudonyms and wrote songs for famous people like Madonna. Tell us about that.
I mean, I think Prince was about the art. I mean, I don't think he was about, when he wrote songs, about defining them as an R&B song or a rock song. I mean, Purple Rain is one of the best rock albums of all time and also one of the best R&B albums of all time at the same time. You know, I don't think Prince was about defining himself into any hard box, and that's the lesson to take for him, is just do your thing, do it to the nth degree, and let the haters hate and keep moving.
He was certainly a perfectionist. Going back to those heels, Shanti, he was 5 feet, 2 inches tall. He famously wore those high heels. Did you ever get the impression that he did it to make himself feel taller? I'm just curious, because you had this interaction with him that others didn't.
So
and what was behind that?
I think we were about the same height, because I'm about 5'1", 5'2", but he had this air about him, if you will, but it wasn't arrogance. It was just like he was this, you know, quiet giant who was a complete genius. And so I think he purposely wore those to just give himself a little bit more push, you know, on the height. But he was fantastic.
Yeah. And Kamau, I want to just get your thoughts on what you will remember most about Prince.
Well, I'm not going to take the heels with me because I'm 6'4", so
yeah,
I don't
you don't
quite
need those.
I don't need those.
No.
But for me, it's about defining. I'm a black man. He's a black man. We're very different, but it's about doing yourself to the nth degree and defining yourself the way you want to, and not letting other people's pressure on you alter your path.
Interesting. And Shanti, last note very quickly, there's 70%, someone told me today, of unreleased music by Prince. What do we think will come from that?
Oh, if I could place, you know,
You
it
had a
all
magic line,
exactly.
right.
I would say that he's going to set it out and release it every year, and so we're probably going to have new Prince material. The new album, Hit and Run, that he actually gave away at the concert last week is fantastic. So those of you that have not heard the new album, you must go pick it up.
All right, Shanti Das, thank you so much to you.
you.
And Kamal Bell, we look forward to seeing your new show, United Shades of America, premiering tomorrow night at 10 p.m. right here on CNN. Thank you to you both.